We are live now. Yes, we are live.
Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Kamna Jain, and I work with Sector Skills Council Nasscom. Welcome to this Digital Adda, our monthly thought leadership session, where we bring you the latest trends in technology and talent landscape. Uh, you know, I'm sure all of you know that with 1.4 billion people, India is one of the most populous countries in the world. But did you also know that we also have the largest supply of STEM graduates in the world, with 2.5 million STEM graduates graduating every year? And did you also know that it is the tier 2 and tier 3 cities that collectively contribute to 60% of fresh graduates in engineering, arts, and science colleges? Now, the world is changing very fast. Earlier, graduates from tier 2 and tier 3 cities were looking forward to get jobs in metro cities as soon as they graduate. I'm one of the examples. When I was studying in Chandigarh, my focus was on getting a job in Delhi. But today, with remote work, gig economy, hybrid work, we have all learned to work from our locations wherever we are. And tier 2 and tier 3 cities are coming into their own. Tech companies are setting up offices in these tier 2, tier 3 cities driven by rapid infrastructure growth, diverse skills, startups, and all these tier 2 and tier 3 cities are gearing up to achieve the status of tier 1 cities. But what skills exactly are the companies looking for? We have got an expert panel to help you answer these questions. Do put your questions in the chat box for our panelists. And after the webinar, do spend some time going through the FutureSkills Prime website. FutureSkills Prime is India's technology skilling hub. Here, you can register free of cost and access courses in emerging technologies and professional skills curated by the best in the industry. So without further ado, let me welcome the panelists. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome them. Mr. Shivakumar Gowdaiah, Director and Country Head Trailhead Academy and Ecosystems Programs, joins us from Bangalore. With nearly 2 decades of experience in the education sector, his passion lies in bridging the gap between education and industry needs, fostering a well-prepared and dynamic workforce for the future. He holds an MBA from the University of Mysore and spends his free time bike riding and cycling. Welcome. Welcome also to Mr. Manikandan Ekambaram, Director VMware by Broadcom. He joins us from Bengaluru. He's a leader with over 27 years of experience and entrepreneurial experience in the IT industry. That was a tongue twister. Mani leads VMware Learning Business for India. He's passionate about contributing in career planning and development and skill development. Welcome, Mani. We have with us Ranjana Thanvi, founder and CEO at Memorres Digital. She joins us from Jaipur. With 17 plus years of experience, she is passionate about solving problems for humans, businesses, and environment via technology. A mentor to students and women professionals, she's a sketch artist and paints in her leisure time. Welcome, Ranjana. We also have with us Abhijit Bhuyan, MD and co-founder, Bohniman Systems. He joins us from Guwahati. Entrepreneur and solution architect, Abhijit has successfully executed mission-critical AI projects in the e-governance arena. He has 30 plus years of experience in the IT industry and biomedical instrumentation. Welcome, Abhijit. And last but not the least, we have Nirmala Balakrishnan, Deputy Director, Nasscom Insights. She joins us from Mumbai, and I'm very happy to hand it over to Nirmala to take this discussion forward. Over to you, Nirmala.
Thank you so much, Kamna, for setting the context. Thanks a ton. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As Kamna has already introduced, we have a very esteemed and inspirational panel joining us today to discuss a topic which is not only very relevant for the student community, but also a priority for Nasscom. So as we all know, India's technology landscape is undergoing a sweeping transformation. Among other growth strategies followed by companies, one of the key areas that has gained prominence in the last few years, accelerated, of course, during the pandemic, has been their focus to shift or expand to what we call as emerging cities or hubs, also known as the non-metro cities. We recently did a study with Deloitte and assessed 26 such Indian cities which are of very high potential based on 5 overarching pillars. Being availability of talent, robust infrastructure, risk and regulatory environment, the startup ecosystem of the city, and also the social and living environment. But today we are here to discuss one of the key and the most important pillar, that is talent or skills. With this background, I'll not waste much time, and we'll start with the first question for the panelists. And as Kamna said, you can put in your questions in the chat window and we'll pick it up from there. So our report that I just mentioned actually highlighted that presently 11 to 15% of India's overall tech talent resides in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Also, 60% of India's graduates in engineering, arts, that's a STEM area, also coming from these areas. So my question to the panelists is, as we are inching towards 100 years of India's independence and, dreaming of, or, a promise of a developed India at 2047, what do you think it means for a student in a tier 2 city of India? What are the positives and maybe some of the hindrances that they should watch out for in terms of their growth? And this could be, also things like, do they have to move to, earlier we had to move to metros for a better quality of life, but how do you see that panning out in the next 25 years to come? I would request maybe Manikandan can share your thoughts on that.
Thanks, Nimla, and welcome all to this lovely session. So just before, I'll address what Nimla said, but maybe I would also set the context. The Indian digital story is much more deep-rooted. So now, if you see it, I want to quickly give a couple of seconds insight. The Western world digital story is predominantly driven by the big techs, right? So now, the Facebooks of the world, the Googles of the world, and so on and so forth. Set up across a very different kind of a digital economy. I'm sure that you all can read through it. Some of you would know about it. And this is the second largest economy. If you take China, it's more about protection, control, driving. So that's how the digital was used into it, right? But if you take the Indian digital story, and it's a very, very remarkable one, and it's a very interesting one, is that our digital story is all based on what you call the DPI, right? The digital public infrastructure, right? It's a mobile, it's an Aadhaar, and then the citizen services, and that's the entire story, which is what the digital economy is panning out in India, right? So now, from that point of view, Indian digital story is going to be more about consumptions. I mean, you'll still have all these YouTubes of the world, Hangamas of the world, and so on and so forth, which is going to keep driving what you can look into it. But I think the bigger one is all about how the platform as such is going to evolve, and which is going to drive two important pillars. One is the citizen services, and another thing is the economy driven, right? Both are interlinked. And what is going to be the driver for these two is the innovation, right? So that is what the Indian digital story is all about driving. So when you're talking about these aspects, there is absolutely nothing cutting between a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 as such. So that's how it is going to be emerging, because it's going to break all the barriers. But while that's been said, tier 2 will have a lot more advantages today, because the cost of running an operation, running a business, and so on and so forth is going to be much different from a tier 1 and a tier 2. The kind of resource pool which you will get in abundance on a tier 2 is going to be much higher. So that's another thing. The last but the least is that tier 2 is going to bring in a more of teams which is going to come into it, right? So now if you see, the story of digital is just not about, I mean, I also want to tell this one last thing is that don't get carried away only for a computer science, right? I failed with my daughter. I didn't want her to take the computer science, but the students in Bangalore only know about it. Today, IT is in everything. So now you're going to get a themes of manufacturing, healthcare, various other things. Now, if you take some of these markets could be on tourism, some of the markets can be on arts and crafts. Everywhere IT is going to come into it. So to quickly conclude on the question is that tier 2 is going to be the most potential, and it is going to thrive on the DPI, and the themes is what is going to come into it, which is what we see it. I think the story would be much faster than the 25 years, but yeah, that's the potential for us.
Yeah, that's great. I like it. You already mentioned, IT is all pervasive. You don't have a tech industry. It's like everywhere. So, Ranjana, coming to you, coming from you're based out of Jaipur, you started there. So what is it that what is your take on this question?
Nirmala. So I think what we are talking about currently, it resonates with the broader goal of building our nation, where every student has the opportunity to fulfill their aspirations without geographical boundaries. So if I talk about myself, when I started my career, Kamna is absolutely right that we were looking for the opportunities in tier 1 cities. I opted for a job with LTI around 18 years ago, and I moved to Mumbai. And after working there for 4 years, I came back to Jaipur because I understood that with tier 1 city also, and with understanding that you get the experience from tier 1 city from your first job, and then you move back to your tier 2 cities, knowing that there are all the amenities existing in tier 2 cities as well. You have the talent in tier 2 cities as well, and everything that you need is not limited to geographical boundaries or any kind of tiers. A developed India in 2047, if we talk about it, envisions inclusive growth where opportunities for education, career, and overall well-being are very well distributed across various regions, of course, including tier 2 cities. And this, in my opinion, would mean that students in these cities can access high quality education, job opportunities, and a very good standard of living comparable to metro cities, basically. So the need to migrate to larger cities for better prospects could potentially diminish or have already started to diminish. I also am aligned with what Manikandan said, that it's not just limited to tech industry. Every industry is now a tech industry. So in India, if we talk about Inevitable India or India Digital Stack, they support a range of digital infrastructure, whether we talk about UPI, digital lockers, Aadhaar, anything. All these integrated frameworks, they facilitates seamless and secure access to services, whether it is on government side or it's on business side or individual levels, which today's tier 2 talent can actually leverage and help build solutions for different types of industry, whether they are in healthcare, education, art, as we mentioned. So yeah, that's my take on your question. Thank you.
Yeah, I know we can talk about it a lot. And Abhijit, from the DPIs that are like already Manikandan mentioned is one of the big game changer for not only India, even globally, it's being actually accepted in so many countries. So coming from the Northeast, the most beautiful city there, Gowhati, what is your take on this? How do you see India in 1940, after in 2047, what do you see is going to be the change, or what is the kind of development that's happening currently which is going to enable this kind of growth?
From it's like the developing economy to like a developed economy, lot of I think infrastructural projects are going to come. At the same time, I think this entire services, that citizen services has to be delivered through like digital platform. If you look at all the legacy, what has happened in past, like all happens through the paperwork. Now it is all getting transferred into like digital platform. So this entire digitization process, I think, involves a lot of work for technical jobs, starting from a very low level of like starting like in data entry work to a little bit higher up, starting say ETL, like extraction, transformation, and loading. Means like it's like a different layers of job opportunities available, starting from an like manual data entry work, then automated data capturing, and then you might go into a little bit advanced, like IoT data capturing, and then and so forth. So it's like that entire range of spectrum of opportunities available now. It is there are a lot of opportunities, but not enough people now.
Yeah.
It is what we feel now, what we see in the market. Like say, if you like to have like a good IoT engineer, you don't have it in the market. So if you like to have it like a good data mining engineer, you don't have it in the market. What I'm talking about specifically for Northeast. So, but that requirement is there, but requirement means the products are not available. The entrepreneurs are not available. There's a lot of opportunities which is that can be like tapped. This is the right time for people to come back and to the tier 2 cities and take those opportunities.
Right. And Shiva, coming from a metro, what is your take on this? You're on mute, Shiva.
Sorry. So first and foremost, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Nasscom, for this particular opportunity and to share my thoughts with the and brilliant minds in the call today. I will not touch upon a lot of aspects, Mani, Ranjana, Abhijit already spoke about. We are moving towards a digital India, right? So a lot of things are moving on a digital format, as we have seen the revolution as well from, as Abhijit mentioned, from paperwork to everything digitalized nowadays. The great example is Aadhaar and UPI payment. It's spread across. If you go to the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 as well, each and every vendor uses UPI nowadays. That's a kind of a digital formations has happened. So with that, probably by 2027, 2047, which is when we touch 100. No, I think accessibility to education is much more better. We're already in a better position, but it will be reached in an advanced stage, which, having access to an online programs, virtual classrooms, educational resources, which actually basically democratize the learning opportunities for the students to pursue their irrespective of the knowledge
Hmm.
from geographical limitation per se, and flexibility in actually working and learning, right? So the evident of remote work and learning, virtual learning platforms enables flexibility in both education and employment for us students,
Hmm. Hmm.
or communication tools, which is through a social media or a financial inclusion, right? Empowering our individuals with digital financial services, which makes up an economic independence, right? So these are my some of my thought process on this take, Nimila.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, my subsequent question is related. So, we talked about technology being transformational, driving innovation in the country. We talked about the DPI. So, we also know that one of the key reasons is for students or even people look at is how your quality of life, how do you make your quality of life better? And in that it includes things like, your infrastructure, living conditions, social environment, educational institutes. Shiva, you just mentioned that is one of the key pillars that actually is which we also assessed during in our report. Educational institutes, be it healthcare, these are some of the key factors. But my question is, accordingly, somebody to live a quality of life that is. Right now that's very important. So what role do you think that technology will play in realizing this ambition? So we know that we are talking about something called inevitable India. So the dream is that India, even now, it's globally, it has reached that stage where we have a say in a lot of aspects that is happening globally. So what is it that you see? How will technology improve the quality of life of people? And thus that is one of the key reasons why migration happens into tier 1 cities. So anything that you would like to add? Ranjana, you already talked a bit about it, but would you like to share your experience, because you have lived in both your metro and now you're to a tier 2 cities. So what is your thoughts on that?
Sure, Nirmala. So I would say that the integration of technology is quite fundamental in realizing the ambition of a high quality lifestyle, if we talk about. So two key components that immediately come to my mind if we keep India in context, and tier 1, tier 2 cities and even tier 3 cities in context, is inevitable India and the India digital stack. So if we talk about India digital stack, it supports a range of digital infrastructure, as we mentioned earlier, your Aadhaar, UPI, all these integrated frameworks that we are referring to, they make an essential aspect of life more convenient and efficient. Everyone, I believe, is using UPI currently, and it has made the lives easier for every transaction that we want to do. It hardly takes a few seconds to complete a digital transaction. In the healthcare sector, technology is facilitating interoperable electronic health records where multiple healthcare companies or hospitals, they can coordinate with each other on simple standards like fire standards, if we talk about remote consultations, personalized healthcare monitoring through wearables and data driven treatment plans. So educational technologies also, if we talk about, are breaking down geographical barriers, enabling access to quality education from anywhere, we can say. Now, smart cities, which are powered by technology, are also enhancing urban living by optimizing the resource usage and public services. If we talk about inevitable India, it signifies the determined march of tech in shaping our future, our students' future. In the context of enhancing the quality of life, tech definitely acts as an enabler across various domains, whether we talk about healthcare, education, agriculture, lifestyle, smart infrastructure, and beyond advancements in technology. They all are poised to evolve the way we live and the way we work. As the CEO of an IT company, I have recognized the transformative power of tech, and we have been significantly contributing to these advancements. whether it is technological innovation that allows us to create the solution, as Kamna mentioned in my bio, that we are working for humans, environment, businesses, and we are also working towards animal welfare, and all contributing together. I can say that it is possible because of the technology and innovation in place. So as we move forward, a sensible integration of tech into various aspects of our own lives will definitely play a significant role in shaping a brighter and more connected future.
Anyone else would like to add to this?
Yes, I can add a little bit on this. I just give you one example with what we have done here in Assam, Guwahati. Like earlier, that building permits for ground plus 2 level used to take around 3 months from like the municipal corporation, wherever you apply. Now you can get it in the same day. So it is like through a digital platform, you apply it online and you get it in the same day. So it was such a tedious process earlier. You have to run through pillar and post, and now you get it in the same day. So that kind of like technology makes your life easier. It's like with Aadhaar, you can get your driving license in your DigiLocker. You don't have to carry your driving license anymore in your wallet. You can just carry it in your DigiLocker. So these are like, the transformative changes we have seen in our life. In our means when we started in our career in 1990s, that time to book a telephone call, we had to go to a telephone booth and book and call. And now in this last 30 years with the internet and mobile, everything is changing, and it is changing so fast. Just imagine what it is going to happen till 2047. So I think this is the right time. We need to pick up these opportunities. And I think technology is playing a huge role here.
As a subsequent question, I would like to understand that, and then I know one of the most important topic we want to go into is skills. But before that, what is the specific reason that your organization, you thought about moving to a tier 2, tier 3 cities, specifically for VMware, Manikandan and Shivakumar, while Ranjana, you said that you started from Jaipur, even you, Abhijit, you are an entrepreneur who is starting from Guwahati. So just to understand briefly, what is that specific reason that that you prioritize moving to a tier 2, tier 3 location? Manikandan, you would like to start?
Okay, so if you look at from, first primarily that fundamentally, if you see, most of us, I believe, we all come from a tier 2 city. We migrate to a tier 1, and those days, that's only opportunity, and rather it's opportunity drives it, and they were the ones which was driving into it, right? But now, if you look into it, there is not much of a difference, because the internet is brought in that barrier, shrunk it significantly low. Our mode of transportation and so on and so forth has brought it down, right? So that's the entire thing. But if I look at it today, what is primarily driving this tier 2 as an economy, we look at it, one is the abundant skills what you get into it, obviously, right? So now, for some reason, while there is always a lot of merits when you come into the metros too, but in terms of the abundant skills, what you have in tier 2 is much, much higher. And for a business outlook, if you look into it, the cost of operations, the ease of doing an operations is got to be much, much higher in a tier 2 as such. And the last but the least is that every technology or anything which you're driving, it's always driven by a domain, right? So the domain skills are going to be fairly building in much strongly in a tier 2 city. I think that's what Ranjana said, or Abhijit said earlier, even Shiva touched upon, is that if you're talking about, let's say, tourism industry, there are certain segments which comes into you drive it. Pharma or a manufacturing kind of drives it. That's the way it is about. But now, if you move in the future, the way it is coming in is that's why I want to again touch upon aspects like the DPI, the digital public infrastructure, and whatever we all are currently, what is a lot of things driving is that I'm sure you all heard about the Bashni, which is the India's AI language, which we are trying to build it in, which is again sponsored by the industry, sponsored by everything else. So what would lead is that people are going to be able to conduct their services with the government or anybody in their own vernacular language, right? So I can request whatever I want to do in vernacular language. So what it means is that we're going to be onboarding a lot of people onto the digital platform. So that again is going to create a lot more opportunities in the the regions than you doing it from Bangalore or Noida and driving it. You need to be where people are going to be interacting, where people are going to be doing business, and that's going to drive it. So the future is going to be more where you're going to be in front of where the businesses and transactions are going to happen. That's what is going to drive us.
Agree completely that skills is something, abundant talent is something which companies always look at. Ranjana, you already spoke about it. Anything you need to add related to why you moved to Jaipur and what is it that you set up in a location which is away from a metro city?
So one of the reasons I moved back was that it took 2 hours for me to travel to my office in Mumbai. So it was like 2 hours from one way and 2 hours the other way. So I still remember, and this is for all the students who are listening to this, there is no shortcut to success. I remember that when we joined as trainees, we were asked to reach our office at sharp at 8 a.m. Our first lecture started. For that, we used to wake up at 5 a.m., get ready by 6, leave at like 6:15 because the bus used to come and pick us up, and then we used to reach the center. And the lessons ended at 8 p.m. So it was 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. rigorous training, and then we reached home at 10 p.m. in the night. So to be honest, those 2 hours were good for thinking about life and yourself and what you are supposed to do, but every day you can't take it a 4 hours long travel. Um, Apart from that, I thought that if you want to do something, it does not matter where your geographical location is. And I wanted to give back to the city where I learned the most, which started from Jaipur. My whole studies held in Jaipur and everything. So yeah, that was the reason I chose Jaipur.
And Abhijit, your take on starting in Guwahati?
Yeah, it's like a little bit different kind of a story. Being a startup, it is always best to be in your hometown.
Yeah.
I in 2003, I was the first time in my life I became bankrupt, and that was actually an effect of post 9/11 attack. There was a euro-dollar fluctuation of around 30%, and my first business gone bankrupt, and I couldn't afford my house rent in Delhi. So that was the reason I moved back to Guwahati for the first time. And I thought, let me start building something when I don't have to pay rent. And then the hiring was so cheap that time in Guwahati that I could rebuild my new company for the second time. So that was the reason I have come back to Guwahati. Though Globe is my village, my home now. Means I go and stay everywhere. But primarily I never move out of my hometown.
Yeah, that's why in the beginning I said all inspirational stories for the students to understand. Yeah, as we talked about the reasons, and one of the main reasons is abundant skill sets. So now going into the core of the topic is, what kind of skills do companies look at when they are hiring from tier 2 cities? What is it that students should focus on? Not just students, even if you are in the lateral role, what is currently driving this kind of demand? We already talked about the dearth of the supply for key skill sets, be it specialized roles, IoT, AI. We are hearing a lot of these technology areas growing. So what is the skill set that a tier 2, tier 3 city looks for, and what do students have to do to train themselves in these roles? Maybe Shiva, you can take it up. I know Salesforce has a very, very vast training and skilling program. If you can share your experiences and thoughts around that.
Definitely, Nirmala, it's a quite interesting one. I think most of us go through this particular programs, especially the skill recruiters, right? Now, apart from, and I'll speak to them from a Salesforce perspective, right, and as well as some try to give you a generic context in terms of what are the other skills, overall industry looks into it when from a candidate. So, other than the job role which candidate is applying for it, for the technical role, having the relevant skills for that particular technical job per se. Apart from that, from a Salesforce perspective, if I want to talk about it, having a Java, JavaScript, or SQL, these are some of the programming languages. Good to have to top it up or to pick it up a Salesforce programs very faster and to onboard, right? Other than this technical one, some of the behavioral skills are very important for the students, right? Now, first and foremost, the communication skills, right? It's very important when they're moving into industry because they are the ones who are interacting with the business stakeholders. It's very important, having those communication skills, problem solving skills, adaptability for the change. Now, this is something which is very important for the students at all the levels, right? Apart from adaptability, you know, technology changing very fast, right? How they going to, keep learning themselves and keep updating them to the current to the current trends. It's always make them kept aside apart from being to the industry relevant people, right? Some of the time management skills are very important when they work on the projects, and especially and as well as the continuous learning. Now, all these things, when recruiters, they analyze all these things doing through some of the interviews or giving a case studies or probably a situation judgment, or probably these are some of the ways they judge all these aspects in the students. So having this behavioral skills also very important apart from having the technical skills, right? uh, Technical skills can be picked up much faster. Behavioral skills, it needs a time, so they need to focus some of those aspects early in the stage, so that when they reach to be ready to join the corporate world, that's going to really going to help them out.
Thank you, Shiva. That's really useful. I guess things that we have always come across as professional skills, other than technical skills, is very important, which I think right now colleges also are focusing on. And there are a lot of courses also which are available. Manikandan, can you share your
Yeah,
thoughts
I just
on
want
that?
to add to it. I think Shiva covered most of the aspects very well. I think very pertinent in terms of what is required. Another area which I want to bring it in is that, along with what Shiva said, is that areas of domain skills becomes very important, right? Fortunate, unfortunate, our ecosystem, the education ecosystems, and people who know me, I keep saying that I'm a bad student, and the reason is that our education ecosystem is that we develop more of occasional folks, right? So we develop people who can conduct work. I don't want to use the word called workers, but yeah, we're building more about people who can just conduct some processes, works. The IT wave when it joined also, it kind of came in India, was predominantly the BPM, BPO, call centers, and so on and so forth. So we always build people to say how to go and do a specific process, right? What will differentiate us to become a leading edge is that whatever we're talking about now about areas of innovation, product development, creating our own thing. And the most important is aspects of the domain knowledge, right? So now I think that's something which each one should take their own interest. And if you look at every the startups in India, right? So now, and if you guys can, I would strongly insist that apart from you all building your technical skills, cut down your YouTube times and your TikTok times, and look at if you can watch some of these good programs around about all the startup leaders, including people like what Ranjana is all about it is things right. So what is going to drive is that how people acquire this areas of interest comes in from your knowledge of the domain. So I would strongly insist, look at building your domain skills, understanding domain skills. And again, unfortunate our education system, please question, what have you learned? What have you come through it? No, don't ask where I can go and work. It's more about in saying, what do I can build? Why should I work into that industry? When you ask of saying where I can get a job and why should I work in a certain industry, gives you two different aspects of that. And that's where your domain skills would come into it. So I would strongly insist looking at building your domain skills, and that would give you, open up the entire arena for you in terms of where you can move on to it.
True. And Ranjana, your thoughts on this again, because you are also in a varied kind of solution systems that you provide. How do students gain that skill set where you can apply into these kind of a role?
Yeah. So I actually take it from my experience. So I 100% agree with what Shiva and Mani has said. These are the skills which are predominantly needed. Apart from tech skills, your soft skills, communication, everything, your domain knowledge is extremely important. Let's say if you go and choose healthcare as a domain or education as a domain, you need to know in healthcare what are the compliances, what are the risks and mitigations, what is the domain all about, how does it operate, what is integrated healthcare services, how do you increase patient engagement, etc. So everything that is related to the domain, which in the domain in which you are interested in, study everything about that domain. That's one. Based on my experience, I have seen that students generally fall in the trap of doing courses and certifications, which unfortunately leads them to dummies basically, because they forget one important thing, that is fundamental. If they are in tech sector, if they are in any sector, but into solving the problems through technology for any sector, they need to understand they have to be fundamentally extremely strong, right? They can learn Java, JavaScript, .NET, AI, anything using the courses, getting certified and say, okay, I am ready for it. But if they are fundamentally weak, if they don't know data structures, if they don't know how the memory is being used when you're doing developing a software code, whether it is optimized or not, how to optimize it, you are not going to be a good programmer or a good technologist in the industry. So focus on the fundamentals. Apart from just focusing on clearing a course and certificate, get onto the fundamentals of what you are learning. So that is one of the advices. Also work on emotional intelligence, which is kind of very underrated. But if you are emotional, if you understand what emotional intelligence means, and if you can work on that factor, I believe you have a very long way to go on that part as well. So yeah, thank you.
Great. Abhijit, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Mani, Siva, and Ranjana have given a very means almost detailed thoughts. What I would like to add, like in FutureSkills Prime courses, I could see one course which is called design thinking. So if the students, even if you like, if from any stream, you take this course, design thinking, that will make your fundamentals clear. If you can wear the shoe from the other people, if you can feel the pain of the others, you can build anything. That is, you need to find that problem finding skills. You need to realize what the pain of the other people. So that will take you to a different scale, different level. So I think that that the different courses available in FutureSkills are there very lot of relevant things, even if it is not directly related to your direct course. But I think you should go about it.
So, right
Shiva
now,
has also raised his hand. Yeah, Shiva raised his hand. Shiva, you want to say something?
I just want to top it up, whatever Mani and Ranjan Abhijit said, when we were in colleges, we didn't had that kind of a exposure to industry, right? Nowadays, there is so many programs, coming to schools, colleges, through, for example, Nasscom is doing an amazing job connecting an industry to the academia, right? So along with that, whatever students are learning, their fundamentals through basic academic career. So you get an opportunity to learn the industry programs as well as uh, for the students, right? For the professionals, Abhijit touched upon Future Skill Prime. That's a kind of a platform, platforms available for the student, people to go and explore their interest, whether it is domain areas or some technicals and expertise if they want to build upon, right? There are so many opportunity exists right now, for learners if they want to really, take it seriously, want to learn something on that to build a career. Then I just thought of adding that particular point.
No, that is exactly my next question. You all talked about domain skills. Fundamental skills is very important. If your basics are not clear, you do any kind of certifications, it's not going to help you solve problems. Emotional intelligence, design thinking. So my next question was pertaining to what are some of your, what would you advise students, what kind of courses they should do? I know in the academics that they generally go through in our universities, maybe all these points are not covered, but what is it? How do they train themselves or skill themselves in these additional qualifications and be prepared for the industry? Any suggestions? Shiva, you talked about the tools that we have. FutureSkills Prime has a lot of courses, but would like to hear more from you.
No, definitely. That's a great question. Um, Probably, other than technical skills, there are so many opportunity exists for the students, right?
Also,
So
just to
some of
add that when you recruit within your organization or you've heard of, on what basis do you assess these students? Is these certifications or qualifications that they come additional with, is that sufficient, or do you look for more training? So if you can add that, it will be useful for the students to, upskill themselves further.
definitely, Nirmala.
Yeah.
Uh, Having relevant skills is always helpful. But I'll speak from a Salesforce perspective. So for someone to get into Salesforce, there is no prerequisite for those people, right? So they can get into a functional track of it or a technical track of it based on their interest. If they are very strong in programming and want to become a developer, we have a technical track to start with. If someone want to build on the functional side of it, want to become a consultant, I don't want to do a coding, irrespective of their degree, they can still step into a Salesforce ecosystem, right? They need not to be an IT guy, need not to be a computer science guy. So now, even from a mechanical or an automobiles can get into it. So we have a industry-wise programs, products available within Salesforce with the domain knowledge. Someone in automobile, he wants to step into an IT industry with this domain knowledge. We can able to help them to enable with the tech skills to become a expert in the industry, right? Just want to give you a bit context about now Salesforce and Salesforce economy. So why this is very important to probably understand students to understand why I'm talking about this. Now we came up with a recently the IDC came up with a report on Salesforce economy, right? Say this is an independent organization, did a report on it. So as per that particular report, Salesforce economy is going to create, ecosystem is going to create a close to 11.3 million jobs by 2028, an impact of 2 trillion revenue across the globe. So when we did a double click on this, so what's in it for India? It says 1.3 million jobs by 2026. So 2026 is not too far away from where we are. So that's a kind of a opportunity exists for Indian people, right? There is, if you ask the currently at this point of time, do we have a supply to meet those kind of a demand? No. There's plenty of opportunity for people to get into our ecosystem to build their career on their respective tracks, on respective domain areas and the knowledge they carried, right? To support this, now we are going to schools to enable the people. Apart from that, now FutureSkill Prime as a learning portal where now we have hosted some of our programs over there. For example, Salesforce administrator, Salesforce developer, a MuleSoft developer. So a few of the programs are in pipe like an AI and business analyst. These are the programs are available in the FutureSkill Prime. You can go and uh, you know get learn the programs through that at completely a no cost. So it's a free to anyone who can go and learn that particular programs. You get all the helping hands during the learning, but that's how some of those courses we recommend from a Salesforce perspective to get into a Salesforce ecosystem. So back to you, Nimra.
To you, Abhijit, we have also seen, there are a lot of skills or roles that are getting displaced because of the technology that is coming up. So again, tying it up with the certifications and extra qualifications that students should actually get in the future. What is your take on it? How do you prepare a student to the transformation that is happening across different technology areas, and what are the skills? How do they prepare for that?
I think that the first point, as Ranjana rightly said, that emotional intelligence. I think all students, more than their IQ, they need to prepare for their EQ. So that the first criteria in the coming world, which is going to change maybe every 5 years. So today, maybe in my area, maybe in northeast part of India, today there's a opportunities for cybersecurity professionals are not there, data analytics professionals are not there, network administrator are not there, you don't find it, digital media and social media marketing people are not there, IoT engineers are not there, but tomorrow you don't never know. So today, if someone is preparing for tomorrow, he need to also think about day after tomorrow, because that 5 years is not far. In our generation, it was different. We used to get into one particular area, and then we used to dig a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then we get to there for next 30, 40 years. But today's skills are going to change maybe very fast. Even if it is like any language you talk about, like someone is doing Java skills, or someone is doing Python or something, 2 years or 3 years down the line, this language will be replaced by something else. The primary thing is whether you need your fundamentals are correct or not. If your fundamentals are correct, if you know how to do programming, then it doesn't matter whether it is Java or Python or whatever it is. So I think that going forward, we have to be more prepared to change ourselves every few years, and then adopt with what the opportunity comes. So that mental preparation need to be there. And at the same time, a lot of things are going to come with AI. So I think we need to be part of the AI game, or otherwise we are going to miss it. Means that as a human AI collaboration, we have to go ahead and go forward. We have to increase our productivity with AI. So I think that AI is going to play a huge part in the going forward. So I think everyone need to study some courses on AI at this moment. That will keep them relevant in all time to come.
Agree. And it's right now, I think we are just at the tip of what changes can happen, what AI can do. So it's better that you be prepared for it. Manikandan, from your area, what does VMware look at when you hire, or what kind of skills do you think students should be prepared in? Specifically, you mentioned domain being very important, but as a student, how do you identify that this is the key domain that I should look at, and how do I build that kind of? I know when you're experienced and you move into different roles, you get some bit of domain level skill sets. But how do you build that as a student? What is in your experience? Can you share some thoughts on that?
Sure. Okay. So while before say the disclaimer is that I myself is one who didn't follow what I'm going to tell you today. I come from mechanical engineering in my UG, but I got into the IT world. Right? So what I want to tell you is that don't chase what used to be the world some time back. That IT is all about computer science engineer as a stream, or the organizations are only going to be the Infosys of the Wipros or the Accentures and IBMs. Every other organization has got a IT requirement. IT drives every businesses, so which is what you need to look into it. I think everybody covered it very well. So right from Ranjana, Abhijit, and Shiva. So EQ is very, very important. Domain knowledge is important. How do you build those kind of skills is very, very important. But I think the other areas which you possibly need to look into that knows that every technology which you're looking at it, I would strongly suggest look at how possible or how easy you feel to look at applying that skills, right? So now all of us at one point in time, everybody wanted to go and learn mainframe, right? I mean, I'm talking about many, many years. A lot of these students would have forgotten what mainframes are. But let's say even an ERP, everybody wants to learn ERP. But the point is that you need to look at what are you going to do with it and how it's going to make sense. Now, today, if you see ERP is more relevant for accounting, cost accounting, purchase, and so on and so forth, or a manufacturing kind of people. But everybody chased it as such. So my suggestion would be is that do a detailed thinking. And I'm sure that the Future Skills portal is giving you a lot of insights. Go into them, look at each technology because so many brands, so many products are there. Look at what it is there. Many such things are there. I think Future Skills would also be organizing a lot of webinars of these kinds. Post questions, create some kind of momentum to understand what a specific domain can help me and where it is and so on and so forth. So apart from all other things, what people have shared, my only thing I'm going to say is that take an informed decision than chasing what worked for somebody else. And because in career, failure can put you into something else. The failure does not mean it's a failure at your end. The failure could be is also how one can recognize. If somebody comes to me and if I'm not able to recognize his value, then he fails, but it's my mistake. So my request is that since all of them are covered in terms of domain skills, understanding the industries, EQs, IQs, so on and so forth, take informed decision, spend time. Don't follow what worked for somebody else. You think through what works better for you and where you feel you're able to relate and start driving. That is what would be my simple request. Just don't follow the herd mentality.
And I think Ranjana has, experience in how do you move from a metro to a kind of a tier 2 city and get the skills that is needed when you started there. What did you look for in the skill sets to set up your company, and how did you go about doing that? Anything that you can share so that students know that when in tier 2 cities, this is what is required when you're looking for your job.
Sure, Nirmala. So I would like to actually quote a few examples here. First of all, with students, I feel that there is so much information prevalent on social media channels, LinkedIn and Insta and whatnot, that people are in FOMO every time that what if I don't do, what if I don't learn generative AI, what if I don't this skill or that skill. Don't get into that. Don't get trapped into that, because at the end, you will actually be feeling depressed about yourself, and that's not the right approach to go. Every person has their own journey. Every person has their own interest. As Mani mentioned, that if you are not selected in a company, it may not be your fault only. It may be the company's fault that they have not recognized your potential. Now, if we talk about technology, if we talk about technical skills, it does not just fall into full stack development or Java or AI. There are a lot more details to it. I consider design as part of technology, right? So UI UX, let's say, one of the domain which people miss out. So evaluate what you are interested in. If someone is creative, if they feel they are innovative, but they cannot code, that's okay. They are not into proper technology, that's okay. If they are more interested in UI UX, take a course of UI UX, understand the fundamentals of UI UX, and adapt to that journey. In my company, we have kind of different roles for UI UX, for development, for QA, for leadership, for AI and everything. But again, it does not matter. I see these questions from the students that someone has done a diploma, they are not able to get a job. In my company, there are a lot of people who have not even graduated, but they are doing job here. There are people from engineering, mechanical backgrounds. They are doing really good job in my company, because it depends how a company sets their eligibility criteria. So don't get disheartened on these parameters. Whatever your interests are, take your time. Do not get influenced what other people are saying or what your peers are doing, what package they are getting. Today you may be getting 7 LPA and they are getting 12 LPA. Tomorrow you will be getting 18 LP and they are still on the same package. So don't compare yourself with anyone. Take your time, understand your interest, always have a mentor associated with you, which I think we never got, or we were not told that we should always have a mentor, but a good mentor can actually guide your career journey in a very good way. If we talk about future skills, so when I go to future skills, I really think that if it was there when I was actually a student, how it could have helped me, because these were my interest area. When I did my first job, I'll just take 2 more minutes. The first task that was given to me after my training was accomplished, I was given a big handheld device and a paper tag. It was an RFID tag, and it was asked to me that, okay, read the data from this and write the data. And I was lost because I did not know at that point of time, what is this tag? How are the memory allocations happening here? How should I read? How should I write? And there was no support, right? There was no platform to go to and learn and understand. But okay, eventually I could learn RFID, and I spent 4 years as RFID software engineer, because then I found that I was passionate to learn about that and work on that particular segment. Today I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not doing anything with RFID, but that made my fundamentals strong. So look at it as a holistic journey that you are going to achieve. Have a forward thinking approach. Don't get stressed out on what others are doing. That's my only advice to give to all of you.
I think golden words that we all are in that age where we think that if we would have got some support during the time that we were learning, it would have been really different. Now it's really easier, much easier for students or people who are into this space to understand what they should learn. There are so many areas that they can focus on, and I think the key point is focus on your strengths and make it most build it further, so that you don't have to look at the herd mentality does not work here. So focus on your strength. And I would leave with this, that quote that I had, which says that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I think learning is something which is lifelong, be it in any kind of field that you are. So continue doing that. And there are a lot of options that are available right now. So please, with this, I'll end our discussion. It's really been interesting. I hope the students and the audience who were there here got some takeaways from this. And thank you so much, panelists, for taking time out to share your thoughts with us. Over to you, Prakamna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was wonderful listening to you all. And I'm sure the students benefited a lot with your practical advice and on the skills they need to build, on the interest areas they need to identify within themselves, and then work forward towards a better quality of life in future. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you all.